Welcome back to Beyond the Buzzer, episode 9. We are back for the second time, 2 episodes in a single week. We're out here grinding, and last episode was March Madness, had a lot of crazy stuff going on there. Today is going to be some NFL free agency news. Obviously, a lot of stuff has happened since the last time we've talked about it, and some NBA trade deadline rumors, as the trade deadline is tomorrow, or this video will be uploaded on Thursday, so technically today. So all right, let's go right into the NFL news. A lot of stuff happened, especially with our Giants. Kenny Golladay, huge deal, 4 years, 72 million. We're absolutely ecstatic about that. Austin, give me your thoughts about that Golladay deal.
We got our wide receiver one that we've been missing since we lost Odell. So loving the signing. He opened, I know his stats aren't exactly what the Giants needed. It was what people were saying, that his separation and all that type of stuff, injury prone. I've heard it 3 billion times. Kenny Golladay is not injury prone. I'm sorry to tell everybody who's against it. He's not injury prone. He had one season where he got injured. The other season before he got injured, guess what? He led the NFL in touchdowns. He's worth the money. Next year, the market's going to go back up to where it was. They did not overpay for him, I don't believe. I think that other receivers next year that are going to go into free agency are going to ask for about the same and most likely get the same. Kenny Golladay is a once in a blue moon type of receiver that hits the market. You usually don't see free agents, wide receivers that are wide receiver ones hit the market very often. Teams usually try to lock them up. The Giants locked up their wide receiver one. I'm ecstatic. I'm happy that we don't need to draft a wide receiver in the draft in the first round or
Yeah,
the second for that matter.
I absolutely love this move. Kenny Golladay is, in my opinion, top 8 receiver in the league at his best, fully healthy. And he, as you said before, he's really good at creating separation on his routes. And I saw this stat. I think Daniel Jones is number 1 in the league in passer rating over 20 plus yards, which is a really weird stat, but over 20 plus yards, he's number 1 in passer rating. And we all know Kenny Golladay is a deep threat wide receiver. If Daniel Jones is launching the ball to Kenny Golladay, that's going to make for a really, really, really nice connection. So I'm really excited about that in Big Blue. And then we have Darius Slayton, who moves to wide receiver 2, which is going to really help him because he struggled a lot with getting covered by the best corner on the opposing team. Now he's going to be covered by a cornerback 2. Hopefully that'll be a breakout season for him. Maybe something we even saw closer to his rookie year, as he did take a step back last year. And Shepard is now able to move to the slot, which is where he's best. Maybe some end around plays, as he had a couple touchdowns on that last year, which is perfect for him. Giants also picked up John Ross, another free agent signing. Maybe he could revive his career. As we all know, fastest 40-yard dash time in the history of the league. So, he can be a really good deep threat. Put him in the slot, maybe outside, anywhere they can mix it up. He's got that speed. He's going to be really good. And I hope that he can, rejuvenate his career in New York. But overall, love the Kenny Golladay signing. We've been waiting for this guy for months, since we, knew, oh, he's hitting free agency. He's not going back. Comes to the Giants. We got our guy. Another notable free agent signing for the Giants was Adoree Jackson, which happened a couple days ago. 3 years, 39 million. He was surprisingly cut by the Titans. And immediately, Austin and I were talking about, we need a cornerback too. Adoree Jackson come to New York. Austin, let me know your thoughts on that deal.
Yeah, Dylan and I started the Dory Jackson to New York movement. If anybody wanted to know, we commented on the New York Giants post first, and we started Adoree, let's ride, come to New York. Yeah, I'm extremely ecstatic about Adoree Jackson. He returned kicks as he did in college. Very great kick returner. I don't know if the Giants are going to throw him into the fire returning kicks right away, especially after the acquisition of John Ross, because John Ross, in my opinion, is faster. I know he's faster, but I think he's a better kick returner as
He's
well.
explosive.
Uh, yeah. Adoree Jackson is a huge signing for the Giants. He was a corner one last year with the Titans. Arguably, people said Desmond King was the corner one. I think that Desmond King played in the slot. Adoree played in the outside on the wide receiver one, typically. I loved Adoree Jackson in college at USC. He was amazing. He got drafted early. He was a first round pick in 2017. I'm ecstatic the Giants got a guy who could actually be a corner two because he's a corner. He's arguably a corner one that's playing the corner two spot, which I really like about him. He also has James Bradbury on the other side of him, which is huge to have a top lockdown corner on the other side of him. They have Darnay Holmes, who played extremely well in his rookie year. I think he'll try and replicate that again. I think he'll play a very, very good corner three. They'll put him in the nickel. They'll put him in the slot for Adoree Jackson. They also have Logan Ryan, another big acquisition last year, big on the recruitment trail for Dory Jackson, as well as Jabril Peppers, other lead recruit on Dory Jackson. They went out to dinner with him in Hoboken. I really think that the way that, my opinion is, the way that Joe Judge is running the Giants is very similar to recruitment in college football. He has his players tell these guys, hey, come to New York. They buy into the culture. They sign deals. I think that's amazing. I think this is a really good recruitment and free agency strategy. It seems to be working out in the Giants' favor, as both guys that they've tried to do this recruitment strategy to, it seemed to work. We re-signed Leonard Williams. I think this Giants defense is going to take a major step up. I think that Patrick Graham is going to have an amazing season with this Giants defense, and I'm ecstatic to be watching some Giants football.
Definitely. As we're talking about, Adoree Jackson's going to slide perfectly into that cornerback 2 spot. He has the experience. He has the speed. Now we have Isaac Yiadom, who we did absolutely not want at that cornerback 2 spot, who was getting torched all of last year out. Adoree Jackson gets put into that spot. Now Darnay Holmes is cornerback 3, and Darnay Holmes honestly had one of the best rookie seasons as a cornerback. I think he only allowed I think it was one touchdown on like 38 targets in like the red zone or something. That might be wrong, but he had a very good season, underrated season, and I think he was our 3rd or 4th round pick, which is absolutely amazing production, something you love to see. So NYPD is back. We got Logan Ryan, Jabril Peppers, James Bradbury, who's gonna James Bradbury is gonna lock up Adoree Jackson, Darnay Holmes, and Patrick Graham is gonna have a really, really, really nice season back there. So some other New York Giants signings. We talked about John Ross, who's going to be a nice weapon on the offense. Kyle Rudolph, after some uncertainty about a leg injury, he's going to be signing with the Giants, confirmed. And some other free agent news, the Giants have freed up some cap space, readjusting James Bradbury and Blake Martinez's contracts. Also, what do you think about that Kyle Rudolph deal and the uncertainty with the leg injury?
Yeah, I'm glad they got him. I think that Rudolph is very, very good. I think that he's a top 10 when healthy tight end. He was, at least not last year, but the year before that, he was catching red zone touchdowns all the time. I'm a very big fan of Kyle Rudolph. I think that he's going to play well and mentor Evan Ingram pretty well, which is huge because Evan Ingram has been having some drop problems and injury problems over the years. I think that bringing in a guy like Kyle Rudolph, who's a seasoned veteran, he's a really good blocker, which is underrated. I think that he's going to open up the run game for Saquon, which is very helpful, especially after an injury from him last year on Saquon. Um, I really like Kyle Rudolph. I think that he will totally open up blocking lanes, which is huge. I think that he's a good pass catcher. Overall, good signing as long as he could be ready for week 1 and that foot and leg injury doesn't hinder his ability.
Yeah, I like the signing. Kyle Rudolph is just your reliable tight end. He's going to catch touchdown. He's going to catch passes. So really nothing against that. He's a good blocker. He'll pair nice with Evan Ingram, hopefully. But a lot of this Giants season is riding or dying on Daniel Jones. And if he can make a big leap and take a big step in season number 3, he had 24 touchdowns in his rookie year, which was outstanding. He was injured a few games, but he had a really nice rookie year and proved a lot of the doubters wrong. Came back his second year and threw for about 11 touchdowns, had a bunch of fumbles. Ball protection was better in the latter half of the season, which was a great improvement, but he did deal with some injuries again. Austin, do you think he can take that next step and bring the Giants to, number 1 seed in the NFC East?
Yes, I do believe so. It's win or it's it though for Daniel Jones. He has the year, it's this year or never for him. He has the weapons around him. If they address the offensive line, then it will be it's it if for Daniel Jones if he does not play well. I think that they will address the offensive line in the draft because they still need another offensive lineman. But for Daniel Jones, I think that they surrounded him with weapons, so it's going to be kind of hard for him to fail. I think that the offensive line will hold up pretty nicely. He has receivers, tight ends, a running back to give the ball to. I think that they built this team around Daniel Jones, very similar to how Buffalo built around Josh Allen. I think that Daniel Jones can take the next step. It's to be seen if he has a season like Jameis Winston where he throws 30 interceptions and 30 touchdowns. I don't think he will. I think Daniel Jones is a smarter quarterback. I think that Daniel Jones, if he has time in the pocket, will be able to make the elite throws. He's one of the faster quarterbacks in the league. He's able to escape the pocket when needed. If he plays like he did against Tampa Bay in his rookie debut, we're going to have a very good season. If he plays like he did against some other teams this year, it's going to be a problem. I think that I've been hearing people say that the Giants might go quarterback at 11. I strongly disbelieve that. I think that they're going to give Daniel Jones a season to show that he's the guy in New York, because I do believe Daniel Jones is the guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think Daniel Jones does have the capability to take that leap, but it will take a lot of effort and a lot of learning. He has to learn, with Jason Garrett, they got to learn the playbook. Jason Garrett has to get the play calling right to perfect Daniel Jones, where he's comfortable in, and he's comfortable, as we saw in that he's first over 20 plus yards. Take some deep shots. You have an amazing wide receiver in Kenny Golladay. You have a speedster in John Ross now. Take some shots, diversify the offense. Don't throw a slant to Darius Slayton every 5 throws. And my other concern with Daniel Jones is, you said he's a bit of a smarter quarterback. A lot of the times, sometimes he throws the ball into traffic instead of just throwing the ball away. So I think he has to, be able to make a decision and stick with it in the pocket. And that's going to come along with the line getting better, him getting more time in the pocket. As you said, like Kyle Rudolph will be another good blocker for him. And definitely Saquon Barkley coming back will help. But I think Daniel Jones just needs to have better decision making in the pocket instead of trying to make a miraculous throw, throwing it into triple coverage and getting it intercepted by like Sean Murphy bunting, which happened, I think, like twice in the Giants versus Buccaneers game, which they could have easily won. He just needs to throw the ball out of bounds and take that fourth down. Take the loss of downs on take the loss of yards on the fourth down and let us punt. Don't throw an interception though. Just throw the ball away, make a decision, and be confident in yourself. I think hopefully Daniel Jones can take that leap this season. So some more free agents this year. We have a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, Mitchell Schwartz, Eric Fisher, both from the Chiefs. A guy like Trey Turner, who has drawn some interest from the Giants, and Melvin Ingram from the Chargers. What do you think about some of those guys of the Giants have freed up some cap space?
Yeah, Jadeveon Clowney, I heard, was meeting with the Browns today. If they will match him on numbers, I think Jadeveon Clowney, he got injured last season. Again, he's been looking for like big money, like 20 to 22 million dollars. The Giants don't have that anymore. Even if they did, I don't think the Giants would pay him anyway, although they were looking to pay him last season. If Jadeveon Clowney wants to take a pay cut, we'll happily welcome you to New York, but if not, see ya. Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, both very good offensive tackles. They were on a very good Chiefs team during this regular season. The issue with them is injuries. They can't really stay healthy. I don't see the Giants investing money into an injured offensive tackle, especially after they had Nate Solder, who was injured last season. And I just don't see a point to sign a guy who's injured when we have 2 tackles already. Trey Turner, on the other hand, I do believe the Giants should sign. Getting a guy who was drafted by Dave Gettleman when he was with Carolina. Gettleman is familiar with him. He's a very good blocker. He's a guard. Even if he's 90% of what he was in Carolina or with the Chargers, we're still getting a really good guard who I believe is a better blocker than Will Hernandez and Shane Lemieux. I think he could start day one if he was to be signed by the Giants. The thing is figuring out the money. And that goes with the same thing as Melvin Ingram. Melvin Ingram, we would have to figure out the money. He's a very good edge rusher. He's coming off of injury, though. I think that he's going to want not too much money. I think that if the Giants were willing to pay him around $2 to $4 million, and that would probably get the job done. It would really clear up a need as another edge rusher, because I think we're going to want to see guys like Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams play tackle this year. So getting a guy like Melvin Ingram to come off the edge would be great.
Yeah, edge rusher is definitely a need for the Giants. But I think out of those guys we named, I think Trey Turner is probably the most likely to be signed by the Giants if they are to make another move, just because he has that relationship with Gettleman. Gettleman likes him. He drafted him. And the Giants, I think, are in need of a guard. I'd probably rather have Trey Turner starting than Shane Lemieux. And Will Hernandez is pretty good. I like him. He's consistent. So that would really, really, really help the O-line. The tackles, Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, I think we can stay away from them. I'm confident Andrew Thomas taking a step in his rookie year. He was playing well in the second half of the season, which was kind of blemished by his horrible play in the first half of the season. I think he let up the most sacks in the entire league, 10. So definitely some improvements could be made in the line. If there are no improvements, I'm not going to be super upset. But speaking of some of the needs of the Giants, the draft is coming up. Austin, if you're Dave Gettleman, you're put in the shoes of Dave Gettleman. What are you doing with this 11 pick? Are you trading it down? Are you trading up? What position are you drafting?
I'm not trading up. Although people are saying, "Oh, Kyle Pitts is going in the top 10. Oh, you're never going to get Pitts at 11." I'll wait and see if I have to believe that. If Pitts does go in the top 10, good for him. I hope he does. He ran a 4.46 40-yard dash. He's a once in a generation type of tight end. Do I think that he solves the Giants' needs though? I'm sorry. As much as I love Kyle Pitts and would love for him to be a Giant, it doesn't seem very likely at this point. I think the Giants need to draft an offensive tackle or an interior offensive lineman, like a guy like Elijah Vera Tucker. He would be great. Or a guy like Rashawn Slater, who seems to be the unanimous pick at number 11 about right now. There also will be an edge rusher like Azeez Ojulari or Kwity Paye that will both be there at pick 11. So if I'm the New York Giants and I get an offer to trade down in the draft, I will most likely be trading down if I get an offer because there's going to be a few offensive tackles there. I've been hearing guys like Rashawn Slater being linked to teams in the top 10, like Detroit, if they were to draft an offensive tackle instead of draft a receiver, instead of to fill Kenny Galladay's void. I heard the Bengals might draft an offensive tackle, but that means they would skip on Pitts. So that also opens up a position for Pitts to fall to 11, even if he's there. I don't know if the Giants would draft him. But I think a very good pick for the New York Giants would be Rashawn Slater. He starts at tackle. He could play guard, which is really good because I think if the Giants were to draft an offensive tackle, it would be either Vera Tucker or Slater because those guys you could move around. They could both play guard and they could both play tackle, and that's exactly what the Giants need. They need a guy who's going to be able to fill lanes and open up lanes for Saquon Barkley, and that also protects Daniel Jones, and that should be your priority in the draft. Second round, you could draft an edge rusher. I don't believe the Giants should draft an edge rusher in the first round. I think they should invest in protecting Jones. What about you?
Just another question for you. Do you think wide receiver is 100% out of the picture with the signing of Kenny Golladay and John Ross?
I don't. I would say there's a 5 to 10% chance the Giants will draft a wide receiver because this is a amazing wide receiver class, as was last year. I think next year will be too, and the year after that. Everybody says that wide receivers are once in a generation. Like Jamar Chase is a once in a generation type of wide receiver. Same thing you hear about Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle. But we were saying the same thing last year about Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy being the best route runner of all time that we've ever seen. And Justin Jefferson was under the radar, and look how he's been playing with Minnesota. So all these guys are the best generational wide receivers you've ever seen in your entire life. If I'm the Giants, if Jalen Waddle's there, I'll give it a look. I mean, I'll still go through the interview process with him. Out of all the receivers, I think that he has the best potential because he's so fast. He's very smart. He knows how to create space, unlike Devonta Smith, in my opinion. I think that Jalen Waddle went on the field is a better receiver and healthy. I think when he's healthy, I think he's a better receiver than Devonta Smith because when Devonta Smith was playing in the SEC, he wasn't really getting hit within the first 5 to 10 yards. And Jalen Waddle was much better at absorbing contact, creating space. So if I'm the Giants and Jalen Waddle's there, I'll give it a look. I don't think Jamar Chase will be there at 11, nor do I think Devonta Smith will be there at 11. So honestly, I foresee the Giants taking offensive tackle, an edge rusher maybe, or if Pitts is there. Those are my three guys.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think they're going to pass on wide receiver because you want Darius Slayton to shine, you want Sterling Shepard to shine, and you want obviously your guy who you just paid $70 million, Kenny Golladay, to shine. Although John Mara and Gettleman said they were going to get offensive playmakers, I don't think wide receiver is going to be the answer at 11. Another offensive playmaker there, though, possibly could be Kyle Pitts. In my opinion, I think Pitts will be gone by top 10 just because of the sheer talent, and he is truly a generational talent. 4.46 as a tight end is essentially unheard of. And he has really good speed, really good hands, physical guy. I think what is he 6'8"?
He's 6'6".
6'6". Okay. But yeah, he's crazy good. If Pitts is there, I 100% want the Giants to take him. If not, I'd like another O lineman like Vera Tucker, Slater, any of those guys. I just hope that Gettleman doesn't miss on another offensive line pick as he did this year. Speaking of Gettleman, Austin, have these free agent signings changed your opinion about Dave Gettleman? Because I know both of us were kind of high on Dave Gettleman, even though all the criticism he has faced. And I've seen a lot of people on social media turning their opinions around and like Instagram comments saying, I take back all of my statements. Like, don't say that. A month ago, you were trashing Dave Gettleman about his horrible signings and picks. Meanwhile, he's not that bad. There's been worse GMs. What's your opinion on Dave Gettleman?
Yeah, I was a believer in Dave Gettleman from the start. My thing with Gettleman was that the reason why I disliked him for a point in time was that he wasn't cutting Golden Tate, especially after all the head case that he made the Giants go through during the regular season, sitting out games. Same thing with a guy like Nate Solder. But the thing with Dave Gettleman that he fixed was that he cut Tate, which we were waiting for, and he got the money back. And he also he didn't cut, but he cut the salary of Nate Solder, which was my other issue with him.
Yep.
So he fixed his issues. He fixed what Giants fans were waiting for him to do. So now what is left to complain about Gettleman? His one bad pick of DeAndre Baker. I'm so sorry that he drafted the wrong corner and traded up a few years back. Okay, he made one mistake. Watch him draft a good offensive tackle or an offensive playmaker this year. All Giants fans should be kissing his feet because Dave Gettleman, I think Dave Gettleman is an amazing GM. I think that he's going to lead the Giants to the promised land within the next 3 to 5 years at most. I think that he's building a team. I think he found the culture that the Giants have been dying for since they won their last championship. They have a winning coach in Joe Judge, who seems to be the guy in New York. Players love him. The players love him. The fans love him. I think that Joe Judge was the right signing all along when people were saying that they wanted Mike McCarthy. And what is Gettleman doing signing him? Oh, guess what? He chose the right coach.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really like Dave Gettleman as a GM. I'm not absolutely in love with him, but as we said a couple weeks ago, I'm completely satisfied as our guy in New York. A lot of people were trashing him last year about free agency, saying that James Bradbury signing was not good. He's not a cornerback one. Look how that turns out. That was a great free agent season for the Giants. Look where we are now, winning free agency offseason again. We have Kenny Golladay and Adoree Jackson. We somehow lured both of them in to New York, which is amazing for Dave Gettleman and the Giants. It's so important for them having a winning season this year. Speaking of winning season, Austin, what do you think? Are the Giants winning the NFC East this year?
Yes, the New York Giants will win the NFC East this year. Mark my words. I think that Washington's quarterback and Ryan Fitzpatrick is either hot or cold. It depends on the week with him. Their front four is better than ours. I have to admit, their front four is better than ours. Our secondary is better though. If you go position by position on the Giants' offense, I like our quarterback. I like Daniel Jones better than I like Fitzpatrick. I like Barkley better than I like Antonio Gibson. I think that Gallaudet and McLaurin are both 1,000-yard receivers, so they'll probably cancel out. Curtis Samuel is better than Darius Slayton because of his playmaking ability, but Sterling Shepard is better whoever their wide receiver 3 is. And I think the combination of Engram and Rudolph is much better than Logan Thomas. Their offensive line may be better, but I think overall, I think the Giants have them. Dallas, everybody's banking on Dak Prescott to come back healthy. I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. He had a really gruesome injury last year. They really didn't make any huge offseason acquisitions. We'll see what they do in the draft. But I don't think they addressed enough needs during free agency. If I'm Dallas, I'm not too confident. The Eagles are just an absolute. They have no idea what they're doing over there. They don't even know if their quarterback's the right guy after they invested everything into him. I heard they might even be drafting a quarterback over Jalen Hurts this year. I think the Giants are the only team to have their stuff together. Honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, Washington is a close second, but I think that if we play, I mean, Daniel Jones plays extremely well against Washington. He's beat them almost. I think it was every single time, or almost. He's 4-0. He's 4-0 against Washington. I think that if Daniel Jones could just put everything together this year, beats Washington, and he keeps beating them, beats Dallas, hopefully beats Philadelphia, which I believe they should. I think the Giants will come out NFC East champions, even with their tough schedule.
Agreed. I think Philly's definitely out of the picture. They haven't really addressed a lot of their needs, and they've lost guys. I think Dallas their season is riding on Dak Prescott, and as you said, he's coming off a pretty bad leg injury, and he's getting paid $40 million, which brings a lot of pressure. He's getting paid $40 million this year, which is the most by any quarterback. And the combination of that pressure and that leg injury, those could combine. Maybe he collapses. I don't know because Dak Prescott is a very good quarterback, and I think he's definitely top 7 or 8, probably top 7 when he is fully healthy. And he was playing great last season before he got hurt. I don't know if Dak Prescott can propel the entire Dallas Cowboys with their lackluster defense. to a good winning season, and that's why I'm counting them out. And as you said, Washington, I don't think they really have their stuff together fully on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think Fitzpatrick is the move. They do have a guy like Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson who are good offensive weapons. I just think the Giants are better. I truly just think the Giants are better. So I'm really happy with this offseason.